want you to remember that when you start talking like that, and when you identify yourself, oh, I failed at this, and I just won't even try to do that again, you've already begun to fail. So most of us have a capable body. We all learned how to walk, didn't we? But not without falling, I don't think. As we were little babies, we didn't just jump up and just start walking, but we crawled, we pulled, we got the help of a chair, we got the help of a couch, we got the help of something, and that pulled us up. And maybe we attempted to walk and we fell, but we got back up. That child gets back up and they attempt and keep on attempting, and we're coaxing them along, but they don't, in their little head, it isn't, I'll never walk. Because they keep trying, they keep moving, they keep making that attempt. And we have to realize that sometimes, we go through different attempts at things, and the enemy will come in, the voices that tells us that no, you aren't cut out for that. You can't do that. And so as we get older, we somehow begin, different from the way a child thinks, we begin to identify more of failure, looking at the failure than the attempts. Sometimes our relationships are not the best because of others' insecurities, and we're slowly stripped of our identity based on our achievements. And you have to be careful, because when you have relationships that have been matured yet and have not went through the test of time, you got to be careful that you don't branch out looking for fulfillment in other ways and get so off track until it's just begin to do stupid, silly things that don't make no sense. And you get in a place of deception. That's happened many times with relationships. So I'll just go on over here and I'll try this. And that's how people get into drugs. That's how people get into relationships with others that they shouldn't. That's how people get connected with, that's how people get connected to the wrong thing and not even realize, rather than holding still and seeing the salvation of the Lord. Testing. Be prepared for some opposition in your life. Okay? Young people, be prepared. Old people, be prepared for some opposition in your life. But when you're looking for a better opportunity in your career, be prepared to receive sometimes a letter of rejection. When you're starting a new business, it might not be a yes right away. You might have to go through some no's, but you don't stop. Do not define yourself because you have been rejected of a particular thing. If you don't get anything else out of this, do not allow the enemy to come with the voices. That's the time he'll come. Oh, you couldn't do that. You had no business doing that. You should have listened to so-and-so. Why did you attempt that? You know you can't do that. Look at it. They don't want, and on and on and on. And you begin to entertain it. And the sad thing that I'm seeing more than ever today that cuts to my heart, they're talking with the voices. You're communicating with negative voices, just having a conversation. Get a hold of yourself and take a hold to the word of the living God. And you stand up on this word of what God says about you. Yes, there'll be tears of uncertainty sometimes that you have to manage, but be ready to say, I might have received a no, yet this might not be going just right now, but I don't have to begin to go, because you're going to find it, because the enemy is waiting for it to give to you. As long as your heart is pumping, saints, there's still a chance to turn something around. In other words, as long as you're still alive, be grateful what little you have now and find ways to overcome the frustration and the setbacks. Our relationship plays a great part in our success or our failure in life. Never, 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 I think I told you before last week, never lose your identity. We all know the story of Joseph and how Joseph was stripped. He was stripped of his garments, his outer garments. He was stripped of them 3 times, but his garments did not define who he was. They stripped him, but he was still called, listen to me, to be the prince of Egypt. He didn't know that destiny right then, but he had a dream. He had a dream. And he never let go of that dream, even though he was stripped. Do not let relationships strip you of who you are because of desperation. Let me say that again. Do not let relationships strip you of who you are because you become desperate. Have you ever thought why compatibility is so necessary with relationships? You want to have a permanent relationship with someone who have some of the same goals that you have. Listen to me, young people. You want to have somebody that have the same convictions. Do they want children or don't they want children? Do they want a home, a future home, or want to live in a trailer? Sometimes people settle and eventually they become bitter. Let me share something. Years ago, there was a young man in our church. This was years ago, over, my goodness, 28 some years ago. And some of you were there then. And he was seeking a wife. He didn't like houses in the city. He wanted to live far up in the hills, away from civilization. That was him, okay? He was a hermit, in other words, very religious. So he began to shop around in the church, dating every woman in the church. Oh yeah, to see if she was religious enough, submissive enough to become his wife. When I saw that he was dating all these women are just, I met with my pastor and I said, I don't know if you realize this or not, but this is what this young man is doing. Well, my pastor wasn't one for counsel, so he said, you talk to him. Well, I was angry enough to, because I could see what was happening to some of the beautiful young women in the church. So I met with him and I asked him, what in the world is your intentions? And that's when I found out he was a hermit. He wanted to go up in the hills. He didn't want to live in the city. Oh, Lord. I said, well, you might as well move on, because there ain't nobody in this church want to go up in no hills and live off the land. And of course, he got angry with me, went to my pastor and said that I was in his business. My pastor said, I told her to get in your business, and he left. And we never heard from him again. Some of you know who I'm talking about.